آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we will continue. We're on verse 81 of Surah Al-An'am. We'll probably cover 81 and 82. I'll read the Arabic and then we can begin our discussion. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وكيف أخاف ما أشركتم ولا تخافون أنكم أشركتم بالله ما لم ينزل به عليكم سلطانا فأي الفريقين أحق بالأمن إن كنتم تعلمون الذين آمنوا ولم يلبسوا إيمانهم بظلم أولئك لهم الأمن وهم مهتدون. And so where we are, we're in the middle of an argument, of a dispute between Ibrahim and his people. And the purpose of this argument or this disputation is for him to sort of illustrate how folly their creed is. That why are you associating partners with Allah? This doesn't make any sense. And previously we've left it that how can you argue with me about Allah when Allah has guided me? I don't fear any of the things you associate with Him. I only fear what my Lord will. And my Lord encompasses everything in His knowledge. And how can you not take heed of this message? And so now he continues, and we continue as well. وَكَيْفَ أَخَافُ مَا أَشْرَكْتُمْ وَلَا تَخَافُونَ أَنَّكُمْ أَشْرَكْتُمْ بِاللَّهِ. That why should I fear that what you associate with Him? That why should I fear these idols that you have made? That these idols, they cannot hear us, they cannot speak to us, they don't benefit you, they don't harm you in any way. And this is something, he's seeing this firsthand. His father is an idol maker, that his father is literally constructing and putting these objects together and calling them their gods, their idols. And so he sees that this makes no sense. And at a certain point, his people already acknowledge this. They know that these are just creations that we have made, that even later in the Quran, when they're having another argument after Ibrahim smashes the idols, and then after he smashes them, they pause for a bit and they reflect, his people. And then he tells them, why don't you ask the big one, the axes by the big idol that smashed them? If they can speak, why don't you ask him what happened? And so then, what is the verse in Anbiya, in Surah Al-Anbiya, that ثُمَّ نُكِسُوا عَلَى رُؤُوسِهِمْ لَقَدْ عَلِمْتَ مَا هَؤُلَاءِ يَنْطِقُونَ. Then they went back on themselves. And then they said to Ibrahim, that you know very well that these idols cannot speak. So already these people, his people, they know that these idols are really nothing and they're powerless. They have no real agency. And so he's, again, bringing this point up, that why should I fear these insignificant creatures? And then he goes a step further. He says, وَلَا تَخَافُونَ أَنَّكُمْ أَشْرَكْتُمْ بِاللَّهِ مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ عَلَيْكُمْ سُلْطَانًا. He says, why is it that you do not fear to associate these idols with Allah? And why do you associate these things? And then he continues, مَا لَمْ يُنَزِّلْ بِهِ عَلَيْكُمْ سُلْطَانًا, for which Allah has sent no clear sultan, no clear authority. This word sultan, it features a lot. And Mufassirun have translated or understood it to mean proof. Also it means authority. But what does this verse also establish? It establishes that anything that is creedal, anything that dictates one's religion and how one practices his life towards a higher power, that source needs to originate from Allah. That what it is that you're doing has to have that divine link and that divine stem. And up until this point, what is it that His people have been doing, and what is their justification for it? All that their justification has been is that our forefathers have been doing this. That our fathers did this, and their fathers did this, and this is why we're doing it. And what Ibrahim is saying in this is that this is not the way how you should be living any life, and this is not the truth that you should be taking your source of belief from. That just because other people have done this, that gives you the reality or the truth or the basis to be doing this. That this basis needs to be rooted from Allah and in Allah. And so what does he end this argument with? فَأَيُّ الْفَرِيقَيْنِ أَحَقُّ بِالْأَمْنِ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. Then which of these sides has more right to feel secure? Tell me if you know the truth. And so, what are these two sides? These two sides are these two different parties in this argument, in this disputation. The side of Ibrahim, the side of those who take their true creed, their iman, directly from Allah and only believe in Him. And then the other side are those who do shirk with Allah by having their partners. And so he's saying which of those is going to be truly more secure, who has a greater right to feel that amn. And this word amn, I want us to hold on to. This word is very important, and it features also in the next verse. And so Ibrahim answers this question. And it's a beautiful rhetorical strategy that Ibrahim is doing with his people. That he's asking them very rhetorical questions, very, very interesting questions. It's almost like a syllogism, that he's leading them step by step in this argument for them to truly understand that by the end of this argument, you will see that there can only be Allah who deserves our worship, definitely not these idols that you have cobbled up together. And so in the next verse, he answers this question that he leaves them with, that the true people who should feel more secure are الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَلَمْ يَلْبِسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ. That it is those people who have faith and do not mix their faith with dhulm, with wrongdoing. And there's a hadith about this verse that when the Sahabi heard this verse, they were shocked. Because they're like, how can any of us be true mu'min or be believers without doing any dhulm? Because we're all people who commit wrong. We're all sinners. We're all disobedient servants to Allah. And they had this in mind. And so they asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that how can any of us have true iman if there is some dhulm in us, if we do some wrong, if we do some instances of mistakes and disobedience? And then the Prophet responds that dhulm here doesn't mean dhulm in that sense. It doesn't mean wrongdoing. But what it truly is referring to is shirk. That in another ayah, that Luqman, he tells his son that Ya bunayya la tushrik billah inna shirka la dhulmun azim. That, oh my son, don't associate partners with Allah. Indeed, shirk, associating partners with Allah, that is the grave dhulm. And so that is what is meant by dhulm here, that do not mix your faith with idolatry. Do not mix iman, do not cover your iman with instances or with these specks of idolatry. And us, we're not idolaters. We do not create idols. But again, we can take lesson from this verse. That is our iman true and pure and genuine? Or are there instances where we're doing acts of worship maybe to show off to others, where we have riyah, where we're trying to put on a show for others? Our iman in those instances are not pure, that there is some other reason why we're doing this. Of course, we don't go to the point where we become mushrik in that point, but again, we're still somewhat not having a true iman, a true tawakkul, and a true purpose of our actions and deeds through Allah, and with that being through Allah. And then how does he end this verse? أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمُ الْأَمْنُ وَهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. It is these people who will be secure, and it is these people who are truly guided. This verse, it's also talking about amn, but it's also talking about iman. And what is important is that there is an actual literal link between these words. It's sometimes forgotten, but iman comes from the same root as amn. And so what is Allah doing in this verse and in choosing these words and in linking these words in this way? That He's saying that iman, one's belief, that through iman you find your amn. That iman literally means to make yourself safe and secure billah, through Allah. And that is how we should view iman. That iman at its core meaning means that I'm going to find, that amantu billah means that I am going to make myself or feel myself as secure through Allah. And so understanding this word iman at its literal meaning can also allow us to deeply reflect and see ourselves in our state of belief. That are we finding security and safety through Allah as we do our regular actions in this world? Are we doing this purely for the reason of Allah? Are we making ourselves feel safe and secure through Allah? Or are we doing, say, maybe these prayers because someone else has done this, or maybe our spouse is watching us to make sure that we're doing X, Y, Z, or we're doing this partly because we want to set a good example for our kids. Those are, of course, noble reasons to want to set a good example for your kids, but at the root of it, it needs to be because we want our safety and security and standing with Allah to be there. That through that, can we truly be saved from any divine punishment that may come in the hereafter or even in this world. And so we ask Allah that He makes us true mu'min, that He makes us people who have true unshakable faith that is genuine, that is purely in Him and not covered by any other of this idolatry and dhulm, and that through this proof that Ibrahim has shown to his people through this argument, may we take benefit and become stronger believers out of it. Ameen. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون.